Understanding the Tito and Alberto Del Rio situation is a little bit tough right now because there's very limited information. And in fairness, this would be a situation where you go, okay, let's reserve judgment towards Tito until we have more information. I think that's probably the way we want to live in our society, right? One of the bigger things that we didn't have 2 days ago when this very first came out is who is being looked at here. Possibly the oddest part of this entire situation was the fact that the commission would not say what it is they were investigating. That's very, very peculiar. Now, you could see where that could be very helpful and appropriate, though. Let's just use, because this is what's being heavily speculated, that there was something irregular on the drug test. You could see where a commission would want to get absolutely everything in order before they came out with that. We have seen other guys who were innocent be pulled through the mud, cleared up on the other side, but they never get washed off. Particularly in today's social and digital world, once those articles come out, they just don't go away. So even USADA saw this and goes, wait a minute, we're going to change our own policy. Nobody's making us, we don't have to do this. But out of compassion and fairness, we're changing our own policy. We're going to see this thing through from start to finish and then make the statement, including if there is absolutely no statement to make. Keep our mouths shut and let this athlete move on with his integrity intact. Really appropriate way to do things. Now, athletic commissions as a whole have not gone to that, at least not publicly, saying that we're going to follow in those footsteps. But you could see where if has to be used here, because we really don't know. If that were the case, you could see where that would be appropriate. You can see where, okay, full transparency. Hold on. Do your investigation, then let us know. You can see where that would be appropriate. I only offer you that because a lot of people are very upset that the Athletic Commission is being so secretive on this. But to finish my thought, 2 days ago when this very first broke, one thing we didn't know is who is being looked at. We know the Tito Alberto Del Rio contest is the one in question there, but are both of these guys being looked at, which would lead you to believe this was a worked match? Or is only Tito being looked at, which would then leave you with very few options as well? Your few options would be administratively. Did he fill something out wrong on the form? Did he forge a form? Did he forge a doctor's name on the form? And I don't think this is what it is. I'm not trying to be silly. I'm just trying to offer you guys that there's only a couple of things administratively that could possibly happen to get a fight overturned that happened 3 months ago. So Tito came out and cleared this up for everybody, and he didn't do it on purpose, but he came out and he said, this is all BS, very cheap way for people to get attention at my expense. Hashtag guilty until proven innocent. Well, the one thing that he achieved in doing in that is letting us know, no, it's not, no focus on Alberto Del Rio whatsoever, so you can take the work fight right off the table. Full focus on Tito, which brings you back to something administratively that had to happen, which only has to do with forms and a drug test. So there's not a whole lot of room here to let this fall. Generally, in one of these situations, an athlete would very clearly be advised, get in front of the story. This is not going to stay secret. This is going to come out. Get out in front of this. It also came up that this is not just a brand new revelation that the Texas Athletic Commission had. It's also come up that Tito was actually suspended by the ABC. That suspension has ended. I want to say it ended on the last day of January. But even if I look at that, it still seems as though we don't have something too terrible wrong here for Tito, which is where I'm not comfortable in coming out and predicting that it was a drug test fail. I'm just not comfortable in that yet. That fight, and this is off the top of my head, but I'm pretty good at these things. That fight happened on November 7th. If it didn't, I'm very sure that I'm right that it was early November. So let's say he got flagged and he got jammed up in something. He was given a suspension, and shockingly that stayed quiet. I mean, if anything here should hurt Tito's feelings, it's the mere fact that he was suspended and that wasn't even newsworthy information. The fact that he could be listed on the ABC database, which is completely public, and nobody even caught it to reveal it is what really should be the insult here. But let's say he did something wrong and that suspension ended in January. That suspension would have not even gone into effect until the absolute earliest end of November and more likely beginning of December. So basically, he served a 60-day suspension. I got to tell you this in Tito's defense, and I'm not the first to come out and defend Tito, but I think that he should be entitled to fair speculation. If they looked at something that was off administratively, be that a drug test, be that some paperwork, and he got 60 days or thereabouts, it sounds as though it's going to be something that most of us are going to chalk up to a misunderstanding. It does not sound as though he had an illegal drug. It does not sound as though he had a designer performance-enhancing drug. I can tell you I know somebody who's very close to me who served a suspension, was able to do it extremely quietly. Suspension happened, no hearing, no fine, no paperwork. It sits on record if you want to go and look it up, but very quietly. And that was because he had Advil within his system. And the commission was the first to say, they literally said this to him, they go, "We bet you didn't even know that was banned, did you?" Guy goes, "No, I didn't." And they go, "We understand, but it is. It's on the test. It popped up. We got to do something with it. Here's the good news. That fight was 4 months ago. We're going to give you a 3-month suspension, which means you're already done. Suspension's already served. Feel free to get on with your life, but just know you can't do that." It would appear to me that Tito has something a little bit silly like that within his system. I don't think Tito has something that we're going to be mad and outraged and really stick it to him. I don't think it's one of those situations. I will share, though, it would seem as if it was something very small and you were suspended and you served your suspension. You know the story is going to come out. If it was minor, you would want to get in front of it. If it was larger, you would definitely want to get in front of it. But if an athletic commission who was making that decision for any reason called you up and said, "Hey, let's keep this quiet between us. It would be helpful if you didn't say anything. Let us do our investigation," perhaps that's going to cuff a guy's hands behind his back too. I think in the final analysis here, we need more information. And we can pile on Tito, but it doesn't sound like now is the time. It doesn't sound like that's appropriate. It sounds like we need more information. Is that fair?